At the buzzer.
You thought you were going to catch me, didn't you?
I almost got him, folks. He's like, "Hey, I gotta go get a drink and go to the restroom real quick." And I said, "Okay, we're going live right now."
You did that to me. I saw that.
Besides, if you shake it more than twice, and you're
Oh,
gonna
boy. Anyway, how are you today?
doing wonderful.
Good.
I'm rocking
Good.
it, rocking the perception versus
Yeah,
reality
I like that.
podcast.
Yeah.
I wore it around town today. People are asking me all about it.
They want to know which one were you?
They're like, "Oh, what is that?" And I said, "If you don't know, then you're not on YouTube.
You're not tuning into the number 10
You're not part of the pre-stream
podcast.
gang, that's for
The
sure."
P Stream gang was loaded today. They had a lot of them in
They
there.
were, they
Pretty good.
were, yeah, active, the most active gang on YouTube.
We should see. We get a prize for who gets in the earliest.
We'll get somebody in there like
To
right
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, first comment. We won't tell you when we're gonna post the stream, but
Yeah, first comment.
right.
Unbelievable. So what's happening?
That's just another great Wednesday. Just moving
Yeah,
up in the rankings in the
right?
podcast worlds on Wednesdays at
Telling
3
you.
for bowling. So we were
It's
at
amazing.
13. Now we're number 10. We're
Number
back in
10.
the top 10.
Made it to the top 10. And then
Hmm.
maybe after this week, we'll move up a little bit more. Yeah, I've been looking at baseball standings yet. You know what the Astros are thankful for, don't you?
What are they? What, a day off? What are they thankful
No,
for?
thankful for the White Sox.
Because they're not talked about as the worst team in baseball.
Gotta love it.
That
Astros.
is great. What are
Isn't
you
that?
up to? You said you bowled last night, right?
I did. I bowled okay. I threw the ball pretty good. I'm
Mhm.
still, my knee's feeling better, and I'm not used to that. So it's taken me a little while to.
Come to grips.
I mean, it didn't
You
hurt as much. I bowled pretty good.
you
Had a
bowl in,
couple of opens,
you
but
bowl
not
in
very.
pain so much that like when you bowl without it, you're like you don't know what to do.
It's exactly what happens. I'm serious.
What's
You know,
what's your adjustment? I don't know.
I don't know what to do.
Well, hey, maybe this episode will help you bowl better because
Uh,
that's what we're going to
It's
talk about.
amazing how you come up with this just in time. I have nationals in June.
Yeah.
I'm going to start practicing a little now that my knee doesn't hurt as much.
Mhm.
But it was good. Yeah, I missed 2 spares last night. I had a couple of opens that were splits, but it wasn't bad. I won 3 out of 4 of my points. My team is on fire.
On
You know,
fire.
20 out of 28 this week, and last week was like 19 out of 28.
Wow.
We just started our 4th quarter of bowling.
And we just finished our final week of bowling here.
Just started the 4th quarter. We have 10 weeks left.
That's insanity.
Hmm.
I mean, in California, we bowled 40 weeks as well. We had some leagues that were 40 weeks.
Yeah, but then people join in other parts of the country. People join summer leagues, not where you live, but people
No.
join summer leagues in other parts of the country. We don't do that. We just keep bowling.
Well,
The
yeah,
only
because
downside is you got to like your team in my league.
if you don't like them, I mean, you got
Oh
to
my
like your
God.
team anywhere if you want to spend 40 weeks with them.
Yeah, but you only bowl 30 something weeks, right? What do you bowl 32 weeks?
Probably 32, 30,
How,
somewhere in
how,
there.
ma- and how many do you miss?
One,
Oh, you don't
maybe.
miss a lot.
I don't miss.
All right, yeah. So
I bowl. I show up and bowl.
you show up and put the time in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
in the
but
work.
a lot of people, down here. I mean, I travel, so I miss some weeks.
Yeah, sure.
But
I think you
40.
guys bowl year round pretty much just to stay out of the heat. You need the air conditioning, and so
Yeah, no,
saves on your home bill.
yeah, like because I turn it off when I'm not home. Is that what you're telling me? You got to keep the air on.
You got to keep it on, but you don't turn it down as much.
I don't touch it.
You don't touch it. You just leave it.
All
What do you
year.
leave? What do you leave your air on?
In 69
All right.
all year.
Yeah. See, I don't like it that cool in the summer.
Well, and then in the winter we might put it to 70.
Yeah, 71 for me in the winter.
71
Your
in the
winters are
winter.
not even close.
No, that's why we barely touch the temperature. We don't touch it at all in the summer. Now, from now on, we don't touch it. It just stays on.
WNBA plays in the summer, so no league for me, says
Ian,
Ian.
is that Ian? Is he back?
He's back. He's not reviewing tape today. He's got it all done. He's ready to go. He picked all his picks for the draft. And did he get his jersey yet? Did he get his new jersey?
I don't know if Caitlin
don't know.
Clark sent it to him or not. She was on the show and he missed that one week looking for Ian's address.
I don't think that's his number one pick, though. I think that he's a bigger fan of a little more obscure under the radar team.
To me, they all are. I
As
don't
a
know
joke.
any of them. I know.
Hey, we got some business
Nice.
to take care of.
Yeah, we do. Talk about the wheel. So, as you see, we have a wheel. It has presents on it, gifts, maybe, as you call them, gifts. And Nick will put up a woo box.
There it is.
Why is it called woo box?
It's just what the website's called.
Got it. So he puts up a woo box. You put your name in the woo box. Later on, by the end of the show, around 3:00, he picks a name out of the woo box.
That's right.
He will say, if you're here, you let him know. If you are, you get 2 spins if you'd like.
If you like. If you don't like the first one,
For
throw
instance,
it back.
you might win a pair of shoes.
You might.
And you say, I just bought shoes. I don't need another pair of shoes. Spin again.
Or you might win a shirt.
Or a
and
shirt.
say,
I got shirts. I don't
I
need
got
shirts.
shirt. That's an ugly
In
shirt.
summer, I don't wear shirts in the summer.
I never wear that.
Yeah. And you throw it back. You don't want it. You respin, and you get a grip sack or a chamois.
Which is a fine prize.
If that was the first spin and you didn't want it, that would be a fine strategic move.
Because you're +1 chamois. The way you got to see it, +1
right.
grip sack.
Right. So that's your choice. If your name is chosen and you're still in the show watching, you just come in and say it at the right time. If you're in the witness protection program and you have to use an alias, you have to let Nick know that ahead of time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
if you're, I don't know. Let's see if you got a YouTube name of, say, Transformer 42. I'm gonna say, well, yeah, and you say I'm here, and I picked out a name, Bob. Well, those two don't equate. I'm gonna have to ask for some information from you before we could verify that. Now,
maybe Todd Wilkinson. You know who that is? You don't even know that, do you?
No.
That's My Blue Heaven, Steve Martin.
No.
Anyway, that was a funny movie.
Very
and today's topic.
We're not gonna spin.
You're gonna practice.
We got to make sure it works.
Are you going to show both hands this time?
No, not for the practice.
Oh, practice. I have to practice skewing the wheel, so I have to keep both hands in the back.
I have to practice adding the magnet to the back.
It's scamming. Go ahead, spin it. I'm going to take scamming.
I'm taking. I'm going to take whatever it lands on. I'm going to take light blue.
Oh, look at that, light blue.
There it is. I didn't say which light blue. I just wanted light blue.
Well, that's not. Yeah, it's true. Grip sack, huh? No, that's the air pad.
The air pads.
Air pad. Got it. That's a good prize. They're expensive.
Yeah, we give you a whole set of them.
Yeah, it ain't one pad used.
No, no. That was for the fans we don't like. We send them used pads from the factory.
From the factory that's been on the spinning machines at the factory
for 3 shifts.
Well, it's still wet with that junk on it. Here's your gift. By the way, gifts. Speaking of gifts, I got a gift from Nick. You're gonna love this. Nick sent me a puzzle.
This is from my girlfriend, by the way.
Stephanie.
Yep.
Thank you, Stephanie. But it came as a puzzle.
Yeah. Unfortunately, UPS treated it
that. Oh, I had to put it together. So yesterday I assembled the puzzle. Which
is kind of ironic, right? Okay, so it arrived a little bit in pieces, which in the movie, if you'd seen it, the lamp breaks and he tries to put it back with glue. And what did you do?
I put it back with glue and I used rubber cement. No, contact cement. Because I didn't have any other glue. And that's what he used in the movie, you said.
It's fragile.
So it's why did you bang it around in the box? Fragile. So now I put it together. It's amazing. That puzzles, I like doing puzzles, and I just did a puzzle the other day. It said 3 to 12 years. No, 6 to 12 years.
Dang.
I did it in 2 weeks. What was the big deal?
It's incredible.
It didn't take me that long.
But I need to get like a little video sound file whenever you crack a dad joke.
Yeah, that was a bad joke.
I just play it. Yeah, I just play it. And it's like
but I'm
Animal from the Muppets. He just goes,
yeah.
I'm gonna find that clip. We're gonna use it all the time now. It's a good game. That game, bingo, puzzles.
I like it.
Yeah. Did you invent puzzles just like you invented bingo?
I invented puzzles. Bingo is easy to invent.
Sure.
You know, put a bunch of letters on top. It wasn't originally called bingo, though.
What was it called?
I don't remember.
You don't remember what you called it at first?
I wonder how they came up with the name bingo. Let's talk about bowling today, because people sometimes they get in the chat and they go, "I'm here to listen to the bowling show. You guys can't have fun."
Don't talk about baseball for 4 seconds. How dare you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what are we talking about bowling today?
So we're going to talk about how to get good at bowling.
Yeah. It's not like a step by step. It's not like a playbook or anything, but it's a lot of things that you can do that maybe you're not thinking of, maybe they're not doing.
That's true.
Or maybe you know about, but you're just not applying yourself.
Right. And sometimes people aren't aware of things that you can do, when you try to improve, So Nick and I did a little list. Nick did a better list than I did. I have to give it to him.
Of course.
But I did the top 5 today. So that's like equal to 3 or 4, whatever Nick does when I do the top 5.
And it was actually a top 5. He stopped at 5.
Because I'm still plus 2.
You're just banking the other ones. You're just
banking the other ones. Because one day I'm going to have a top 3.
Yeah.
So
that's
anyhow,
great.
So let's talk a little bit about
internet advice. Let's start there.
Most leagues are coming to an end. And people use the summer. Some people do the practice. But let's talk about some internet advice. And I'm a fan of the internet, because without it, we wouldn't
have a show.
We wouldn't be who we are today.
No.
The Perception Reality Top 10 podcast of all time at 3:00
on Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm. But the internet, I scroll through the internet and look at what people put up, and I am one of the least involved people when it comes to that. I very rarely make comments. Because I know, Albert Einstein once said, "Don't argue with an idiot. He'll bring you down to his level and beat you with experience." So right. I don't get on the internet and make comments, because I read what the topic is. I might look at it a little bit. I'll read it, but I very rarely respond. Very rarely.
And then you do a 180 and exit the room.
Absolutely.
Close your computer, douse it with water, and leave the building.
Exactly right. Yeah. So I went on there today a little bit to find out what would other people
that may be new to bowling, that may look up, say, "Hey, how to get better at bowling?" And these are some of the things that you found in your research.
Exactly. And I didn't do a lot. I didn't have to do a lot either. It just jumped right out at me. So here's some of them, and then we'll talk about them. Internet advice.
This one's topic is internet advice.
And I went all out on the background on this page, as you can tell.
There's a lot of white. Maybe we should adjust this so that we're not that we're taking up more room. What do you think?
I think so. Internet advice. Here's some.
Let me fix this a little bit real quick.
No, you're gonna do something to it? I think it's perfect, because I put a lot of effort into this.
I know, but I'm just gonna help you out a little bit so that we're just a little bit bigger. Right. There we go.
Oh, there we are. Hi.
Just a little bit bigger.
All right.
All right. So once again, internet advice. So something that, new bowler be like, how do I get good at bowling? And we found some articles.
They go on Google, they type in, how do I get better at bowling? Here's one of them.
I'm going to change this up. This is way too white, way too bright. We're going like this.
All right. That's fine.
Can't do it.
Internet advice.
Blank white.
Stand with your feet shoulder width apart. Stand with your feet and shoulders shoulder width apart. Take a few steps towards, so that only your toes are touching the line.
Only your toes are touching the line. That is so confusing. Try to break that down.
I can't. Okay, so here's what I would tell you. If you're playing shortstop for the New York Yankees and the guy's getting ready to hit, stand with your feet shoulder width apart. Get in an athletic position and crouch down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's what they're telling as a bowler: to stand with your feet shoulder width apart, and a few steps forward, so that only your toes are touching the line. I don't even know what that means.
Touching the line. You don't want to touch the foul line.
No.
That's 0.
Right. And take a few steps forward, so that only your toes. How many is a few? 2, 3, 1.
I don't know.
7.
That one old video of the 4-step approach, or 5-step approach.
About that guy. It's a sin. There was a video of a guy who was teaching the 5-step approach, taking 4 steps. He was going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he never took a 5th step.
His 5th step was the step out where he fell off balance on the line.
This was on there under beginners bowling tips.
Yeah. All right, let's try the next one.
So one of these examples is a lot of times you don't want to follow these things. Here's another one. Curl your fingers so that the ball spins as it rolls down the lane. This will give you better control and accuracy.
Says who?
This guy, whoever this was, said this. So again,
this is information that's out there
on which really shows you the reliability of the internet. If you were searching, so far you're standing like you're playing shortstop, and you got your fingers curled,
and you're walking the line a few steps, tippy-toed,
so you can touch the line. So now your score is 0.
I'm envisioning like Fred Flintstone going to the line.
It's exactly what I was thinking. Tippy-toed.
All
right, go ahead.
All right.
Wait, now here's another one. Twisting your wrist can cause the ball to go off course.
Oh, man.
Keep your wrist straight and firm during the release to ensure accuracy. Remember to follow through with your arm for a smooth and consistent release. So if you were to watch the PBA bowling today at the Tournament of Champions, this would not apply.
No. I don't think anybody keeps their wrist firm
and straight. And curl your fingers so you could spin the ball with a straight wrist.
Yes, because every time Pete Weber let go of the ball, you could see his fingers curled like this, right?
That's why I love the internet. I'm telling you, just go on the internet and get more pertinent information. I think we got one more, right?
Find your speed. If you like to approach the line slow, start with the ball at chest level. Up here?
Isn't that opposite?
This ensures that your swing takes as long as you to complete the approach. If you like to approach fast, start with the bowling ball somewhere between your thigh and waist, since there's not much time for a full swing. Wow.
This is on the internet. This is out there. So we're going to try today to not give you bad information like you might find if you Googled better bowling on the internet. So here's the other thing that was funny today. When I talked to you this morning, so I'm going to do some research, look it up. So I typed in, how do I become a better bowler, bowling better for beginners? Do you know that cricket, the guy that throws the ball, is called a bowler?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it is. I knew that. And then it popped up today. And it talked about how you should throw the ball if you were playing cricket. So I looked some of them up. Some of that information was better than this.
Wow.
For the guy that throws it in cricket was better than that information you got how to bowl better. It was more applicable.
I wonder what website you went to on this one.
I just Googled and said, it wasn't all in one website. I did some research. I went to a couple of them.
Oh.
Yeah, because
you went to multiple websites.
I went to multiple websites. I Googleized today.
Wow. That's a lot of effort.
It is. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things we can do.
Do you have a fancy PowerPoint for this one too that you worked all night on?
I did not. That one I did was pretty good, by the way.
Yeah.
And the background.
What should my background be? I don't know.
I was thinking white.
Yeah. Yeah, white's good. We haven't done white in a while. As all of our washers are wearing sunglasses right now.
Yeah, like, oh, my eyes are hurting. I'm blind.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So so new bowler looking to get better. They might have a ball, they might bowl once in a while. What's your first bit of advice?
New bowler wants to get better. Go get fitted. Make sure the ball fits you right.
Yeah.
Again, still.
Yeah.
And even the guys that aren't new bowlers, I would say that, and I estimate that probably 40% of people's bowling problems, maybe a little bit more, is improper fit. Even competitive bowlers, good bowlers. I mean, guys that are competitive bowling, I think their fit is probably it's just people start out with a basic fit. Let me ask you that. You were a pro shop guy.
Yeah.
If you had to pick a basic starting point for somebody, okay, what would you use?
basic starting point, like for pitches and
yeah,
span?
pitches and span and stuff like that. You know,
you got to remember, like when you're getting fitted, you know, it's the pro shop's best educated guess on your hand based on everything that they've been taught about.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, your hand may change. That's the thing.
Sure.
You know, on that given day, it could be really warm, and then when it's cold, your hand changes, and then all of a sudden you're having issues. So there's got to be some give and take.
Yeah.
You know, for a new bowler, you know, fitting their hand, I'm not going to try to go super long. You know, I'm going to go more relaxed fit, and the pitches, I'm gonna, especially in the thumb, I'm gonna stay a little bit more neutral overall, and then see where we go. So it's like the first try at it is probably not going to be your final fit.
So do you hit the nail on the head? See, that's the answer right there. The guy, you're a bowler, even now, you're a competitive bowler. You're one of our fans. You watch the show. You're into bowling. And when was the last time you got your grip checked? And what would you look at? I mean, you have to look at, maybe you're having problems with certain things. It could be simply your thumb pitches are wrong, or your span is a little too stretched, or your finger pitches. You know, I see a lot of people with marks on their hands, and I'm like, we were talking about that this morning. You know, how many marks, what happens to your thumb, what happens to your finger? A lot of people have calluses. You know, I've never really had a callus on my thumb. I know you joke about that, whether I rev it up or I don't rev it up or whatever. You could say whatever you want, but the point of the matter is I would bowl upwards of 100 games a week.
Yeah.
And never had a thumb problem.
Yeah, when you don't apply to any force to the ball, you know, you're not going to put any wear and tear on your hand. You're left-handed, and you like to play.
The point is that if it did occur and it was a rub spot, I would be able to recognize that there's something wrong with me the way I'm coming out of that ball. Right.
So you telling me that your hand never went up and down? It never changed? Nothing?
Yeah, tape. I put tape in and out, but I never swelled to the point where I was blistering or tore up. I don't have any calluses. I didn't have any.
Yeah, ever since I was young, I swell.
Yeah,
didn't matter.
Yeah.
Even now, like my fit's good. Like if I bowl once a week,
right?
I'm usually adding tape quite a bit because my thumb's down.
So why would that make a mark on your thumb then?
Well, no, it's built up calluses over the years. Like the skin on my thumb is a lot harder than the palm or my other hand or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's oh well, you're just great. You should have been a Hall of Famer. Oh wait, you are.
Wait, I am. Two of them. But anyway, so I think people have to go back and say, listen, I have to really take a look at my game from the grip up. Start there.
Yeah.
Make sure you're coming out of the ball properly with the right revolutions, the right release, and so on. You know, and that's always and where do you do that? You know, you go to your pro shop guy and let them look at you and relook.
Anybody have a train at 323?
I have a train. That's me. I win.
Wow, we got a new thing. No more truck. We're gonna bet on the train. Whether the train will be here and what time.
You want to use it or should I? Go ahead, say it.
Go ahead. Is it usual for the train to come through at 2:24 p.m. Central Time?
No, it's very rare, sir. It never comes in at 2:24 Central Time. It's always 2:27 Central Time.
Very unusual.
Very unusual. Very unusual, sir. Let's talk about.
I'm not done with the fitting yet. I'm not done with the fitting. Like for a new bowler, it's like here's a very basic way to tell whether your ball fits or not. If your hand hurts after bowling 3 games, or if you develop blisters that are creating pain, or I don't know, broken skin, you don't have a proper fit, or you're doing something very wrong with your release. Either way, go get it checked. You know, if you bought a ball off Facebook Marketplace and you didn't get it refit, you just said, hey, this one feels all right.
Yeah.
I guarantee you it doesn't feel all right.
It's not.
Trust me.
And if you have a big knob on the back of your thumb,
no,
you're probably knuckling the ball, as they call it.
Right. So get it checked, get fit.
Yeah.
And get it tweaked, because your hand may change. And over time, you know, as you get older, right, Phil? I mean,
absolutely. I've changed mine a couple of times because of that.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable. I can't grab it the right way. You know, I don't want to grab it. I want the ball. You know, Bill Taylor.
God rest his soul.
Why? Because he died? No, I just like to say God rest his soul. He told me, and he preached it. You don't hang on to the ball hangs on to you.
Okay.
If your pitches are perfect, and that ball should only, and in his book, I think it's 47 degrees off the hand. And that's the proper pitch, is that if you relax your hand at the bottom of the swing, it should come off your hand at a certain, I think it was 40, it might be wrong, but there's a certain amount of degrees that you come off at. so that you don't have to force it off your hand or throw it off your hand. And if you feel like you're throwing it off your hand, you got the wrong grip.
Hmm.
It should be able to come off your hand pretty natural at the bottom.
Yeah.
So
you shouldn't have to feel like you're out bowling your fit, and you can't out bowl your fit because it's not possible.
No, it's impossible. Right.
If you're hanging up or you just can't clear the thumb right,
yeah,
you throw a 1 or 2 out the window every game.
Yeah, there's something wrong.
You're not going to get better.
No,
that's going to frustrate you. So go find your pro shop. Go get fitted. Get it set where you can bowl 3 games, 6 games, 9 games, however many games,
and go from there. Now your fit is right.
Now your body might get sore. You might get sore from muscle. That's fine. That's going to take time to build up muscle, but your hand should be relatively clean,
pain-free. Exactly. So now summertime is coming. People are going to work on their game a little bit, and they want to go and practice.
Yeah,
because that's one way to get good. Practice. They have that expression. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. And we talked about it earlier. Nick and I did about repeatability. It should be muscle memory.
Yeah,
and you have to learn that.
Developing an approach that is repeatable. It doesn't have to be by the book per se. You might have physical limitations where you can't bowl like a picture perfect textbook bowler.
Might have a bad knee,
but it's fine. You might have physical limitations, but it's important to get to the line the same way and release the ball the same way and be able to repeat that over and over and over again. Because if bowling's taught us anything over the years, is that it doesn't really matter how you get to the line, because there's been some very different bowlers over the years.
Yes.
And I'm sure they've been criticized from the very beginning, like, that'll never work. Why would you do that? I can't believe you're trying that. Why are you going out on tour? Why are you winning so many tournaments? Why are you player of the year? It's definitely not going to work now. But some people get really good at doing their thing, and they become unstoppable sometimes.
You always joke about you have to feel. I think it's a mental picture of what you think you look like when you bowl, and if you have that mental picture and it feels that way, you're going to be able to repeat that. This is what I feel like when I bowl. This is what I think I look like when I bowl. And nowadays you can actually see it. You can film it. But going out and practice and being able to do the same thing over and over again is the key to bowling. You look at all of the styles over the years of guys that had bent elbows. Don Carter had a bent elbow when he started. Now they bend elbows and they yo-yo release it at the end. They snap their wrist.
Bent elbow is power.
In those days, he shoveled the ball down the lane. He didn't whack on it, right? And that was frowned upon, but he was the greatest bowler of his day. Because he was able to repeat. So you have to implement something in your game that is very, very repeatable.
Right. And when it comes to practice, like, okay, you can bowl 10, 20, 30 games a week.
Yeah.
But if you're not practicing in a way that's actually going to help you improve, or practicing the right things.
Right.
And this is where I think the next thing comes into play is coaching, finding another set of eyes that's reputable and that knows bowling and that knows your game, and that can get your body parts all in the right spot and getting you in the right headspace. And as you advance, getting more advanced thoughts with lane play strategy and your arsenal building and all that stuff. So getting on with a coach and also using video to your advantage. It's so easy to record yourself bowling now, and being able to compare it with slow-mo and all that stuff, that you can just set up your iPhone, record yourself during a practice, go back and watch it. You'll be able to see some things, and then be able to compare it to another time. So say if you're bowling really well and you're feeling really confident, record yourself bowl. And then if you start struggling in the future, because you come out of whack sometimes, right?
Yep, absolutely.
You refer back to a video back when you were bowling well and executing well. And there you go. You got something to kind of compare off of.
The downside of filming yourself is you may not like what you see.
No, what your mind thinks.
That's what I was saying.
How you look.
Exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. Now you see that you might go into mind shock.
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched myself bowl on camera, and here I am. I used video ever since I was probably 15 years old, something like that, instead of the camcorder.
Yeah.
And my push away went way out here and around. It basically figure eighted all the way around my body.
Right.
And I don't know. I didn't know that I did that. So when you correct it, all of a sudden, okay, I need to push away straight. And then when you push away straight, it's still to the right.
Right.
So your correct is like your mind's eye says, okay, well, if I push away far left, it feels really weird. I'm pushing away far left, but on camera, dead straight. You're like, how is that possible?
How's
like
that possible?
The alignment between perception and reality is
Absolutely
just so skewed. And you got to get that back, and you got to erase that motor memory and re-edit.
Sure. When I started bowling, we did that with film. We had to wait a week to get the pictures back.
Yeah, on your high 8. No, Jimmy, don't reel it too fast. When you wanted to go high speed, he just spit up his fingers.
Yeah, go faster. No, it's funny because what you just said, and I said it earlier. You gotta you have a way you think you look, you have your way you feel, and when those two mesh together, you bowl well. But the downside is, if you're going to film yourself, you better be prepared to say, I didn't think I did that. Now, here's the downside, and you said it, and I'm not going to disagree with you, but I'm going to sort of semi add to it. I'm bowling really good. I feel really great. I'm going to film myself. Okay, and then you say, oh, "Dang, I didn't know I did that."
Now you want to change something.
So when you're throwing it good, it's not bad that you don't look like a picture perfect release.
Yeah,
it's working. Don't look at it and go, I have to change something, because then if you start throwing it bad, maybe you took that out of your repertoire, whatever that little loop you were doing or whatever. So you got to be careful when you film yourself, because
don't be overly critical.
Don't be overly critical.
Throw your shot.
Throw your shot. Right. I used to tell people to emulate the pros, and I can't tell people that anymore. I want you to pick it up, run to the line like a duck, and throw it with a triple jointed thumb. And then win a bunch of tournaments.
I'm going to take a couple of questions, because I'm going to try to keep up with questions a little bit this time.
Before we do the Woo Box again, huh?
Post the link one more time. I did post it twice already, because they were screaming for it in the chat. So as a good podcast, I put it in there.
As a good podcast host that you are, and then again, that's the Woo Box. Put your name in there. If you're a staff member, do not do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. We're gonna pick a name if you're in the show, and you get selected. We'll spin the wheel. If you like it, you keep it. If you don't, you get to spin again.
90 seconds. And if you have a weird name on YouTube, let's see. I'm going to take one from random here that's just on my screen, like Okie Dokie 22, and your name comes up as Bob, and you say you're here. Well, I'm probably going to ask you to verify something about your email. So
something about your Okie Dokie 22.
And I'm either going to say Okie Dokie or Nopey Nopey.
Nopey. Right. So anyway, let's take some questions.
Yeah. So Larry had a question kind of directed towards me. He's like, Nick, is that how you hurt your hand and went to the Sarge grip because you had a bad fit? And yes. So here's how my fit developed over the years. And this is a picture perfect way to just wreck your hand growing up. I got my brother's hand-me-downs pretty much all through juniors. And how I got it to fit my hand was shimming the fingers and adding about 10 pieces of tape to the thumb and calling it good. So I used that grip for probably, 6 years, something like that, until I got into the pro shop and started tweaking my own stuff, because that's the first thing you do when you get in the pro shop. You start, hey, I'm going to try this. I'm going to fit this. I'm going to try something different. Well, after a couple different tries, I went to no grips, and I used no grips for, a couple months, 3 months, 4 months. And for the most part, it was fine. The only issue I really had was when I would swell. Like my fingers would swell after day one, and then I have to cut out the fingers a little bit just to get back in. And then when next day I come in, I have to put tape in because swelling went down. Anyway, that caused some poor fit in the fingers, and I was squeezing quite a bit. And one tournament, I just felt the whole ligament in my hand pop, and my hand started to just go numb, and I couldn't grip the ball anymore. I couldn't make a fist, so I had to withdraw from that tournament. And so after about a month of rehab and not bowling, started looking into different options. And at the time, Robert Smith was using Sarge Easter grip, so I started looking into that. and tried it, and it worked. I could bowl without pain, and that's why I use Sarge grip. So
have you ever thrown a regular grip since then?
Yes. So there was so from like 05, 06 until about, I don't know, 2010, I used Sarge, and then I kind of stopped bowling a lot because I was the rep for the West Coast. I didn't really bowl a whole lot. Went away from it, went back to fingertip, and was bowling some regionals here and there, and I would have issues just with the ring finger nonstop. It was either like ingrown fingernails, cutting in, or blisters on my fingers. And then one tournament, same thing. Like I was just squeezing so bad, I just felt the whole pain again come through. And I think 2014, I went back to Sarge, and I've been Sarge ever since.
Yeah.
And since then, like Mo refit me probably like 2017, 2018. Went shorter, went more reverse in the ring finger, and called it a day. So,
and you didn't like it, or you did?
No, I did. That's what I've been using ever since. Yeah. We made small tweak. Like it was like shorter by about a quarter inch. I went a little bit more. Well, I mean, I was stretched still. You know, my stretched.
But again, you said it again. It's a tweak. You know, you're not going to hit it first time to get it perfect. No. You know, and I'm unique in the sense I don't bevel a lot at all. I mean, I'm barely cut the top of the thumb hole. So, you know, for me, it just has to fit so comfortable, and I'm not even hanging on to it. You know, I don't grab, and which you perceive as not hitting the ball, but that's okay.
Yeah, because, you're feather soft at the bottom. And if it was Lee Carvello's golf challenge, you'd be feather touch.
That's me. Anyway, that's the key, is to be able to repeat.
Yeah.
And the grip is part of that. And then when you practice, I know we started talking about that. You know, you got to practice repetition. If it's your approach you're working on, you want to be able to just keep repeating the same thing. You know, one of the things I always tell people is I'm a terrible coach when it comes to that, because I don't have patience for that. I really don't. I'm you know, I work with some people from time to time.
Maybe a pointer here and there.
That's exactly it. That's all it is, right?
You're John Jowdy without the cigar.
Telling you, it just kills me. But when you practice, you have to practice execution, not score.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Don't even bowl for score when you're practicing.
Yeah. Don't even. I mean, nothing. You know. And you know, here's another thing. That testing balls and practice, two different things. Okay. If I go practice, which I do occasionally, I'll go practice. I don't practice. I practice strike balls all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't reset it. It doesn't matter. Okay. I don't care. Yeah. I just want to get the ball off my hand the same way.
Okay.
You know, and then there's certain spares I'll shoot because I can throw it the same way. So in other words, if I throw a strike ball and I leave a 10 pin, I'll move over to shoot the 10 pin with the same release I had with my strike ball. I will use the same release as much as I can. The only time I can't do that is shoot a 7 pin, and I don't want to get in the habit of missing 7 pins in my mind that I missed them. So I won't shoot them. I'll just throw the ball at the pocket again, you know, because I'm not practicing that part. I'm practicing maybe a release.
And that's the thing, like when it comes to practice, it's like there's a couple, like when we talk about practicing the right way.
Yeah.
You know, so for instance, like you go up there and you're trying to throw strike shots. You're just trying to work on your release. You're trying to work on one thing, you know, and that's a good way to practice, is focusing on one thing. And we're not bringing 8 bowling balls in. We're not throwing them all.
No,
we're not standing in different parts of the lane and just hucking bowling balls nonstop for an hour and calling it good.
Right.
We're working on a specific thing.
Yeah.
And what good amateurs or beginners fail to realize when it comes to being really, really good at bowling is the pros practice very specific things at very specific times, and they keep practicing, not until they can get it right, but then until it's impossible for them to get it wrong.
Right.
Where they really, really have to mess up to get that shot wrong.
Right.
So they practice over and over again until they put all muscle memory, and it's just automatic.
The Earl Anthony once said that the best time to practice is at the end of your practice session when you're exhausted.
Oh, that's what they say for like bodybuilding. Like it doesn't, like sit-ups don't count until they start to hurt.
And his point was, if I can make great shots when I'm tired, I can make great shots when I'm not.
Yeah, and that's practicing stamina too.
Yeah,
you know? Because you bowl an 8-game block, you know, when you're only used to bowling 3 games during the league spread out, and now you got to bowl eight games of match play right back to back to back.
So explain one thing to me when we're on the topic of blocks. How do you bowl on the national tour 6-game blocks, and the senior tour you bowl 9-game blocks?
I don't know. Do they bowl 2 6s and then the senior only bowls 1 9?
No, I think they bowl more than 1 9.
I don't know the formats. I don't know.
Yeah, they bowl more on the senior tour than they do with the kids. Different topic, another day.
You're asking me what the reasoning is that PBA did something?
I don't understand it.
You're asking me?
And then the other day we had an extension ladder finals, a small one, right?
A small extension ladder, yeah. It's only top 9. And it's half as big.
Not 17.
I think they listened to our feedback and they watched that show and they said, you know what, 17 might be a little bit too big of an extension ladder. Why don't we cut it in half? It's like, no, we can't do half. That's only 8.5. All right, round up. 9.
We're gonna cut it to the top 100. We'll start today. We'll end it in August.
They're one step away from giving participation checks out for everybody.
Thank you for showing up. Here's your trophy.
Yeah,
let me give you a patch. Let's talk a little bit about coaching.
Okay.
Because I know when I first started bowling, I was terrible. You know, I was a baseball player. I was a terrible bowler. My dad was good. He was 190 in the days of 190 being a solid bowler.
Okay.
And we would go bowl, you know, me being left-handed and him being right-handed. And he would try to help me a lot. But here was the problem. I joined the league that he was in. I was on a different team. And everybody apparently was a silver coach in the late 70s, early 80s, you know.
Because they had the internet back then too, I guess.
Apparently not, right? So you got to realize that the guy that's 190 when you're 160, he's an expert. But not to you. To him, he's an expert. To you, you know, and he's going to tell you everything you should do because he does it. That's not a coach. You know, the coach is not a person that tries to form you into what they are.
Right.
The coach is to take what you have, ability you have, and hone it
and refine it into something that's
better. Usable. Right. You know,
so I was spoiled in Southern California. I had access to one of the best coaches in the world, being Mark Baker, and I actually met Bakes through Cal Bowling Supply at the time because he was my rep for. He was a sales rep, and he was doing a little coaching on the side. And I don't. What year was this? Probably, I don't know, 2008, 7, 6, somewhere in there. And he was doing some coaching, and he was my coach, and he's the one that worked with me. And so he's like, I'm really doing a lot of this coaching stuff. You know, I'm really interested in doing it. It's my passion. You know, obviously I work for Cal Bowling Supply because that pays the bills and it gives me solid. And he's like, do you think I should do it full time? And I was like, dude, absolutely. Because if you did that full time, you'd make a killing. Like you'd be able to book it everywhere. You can go travel, and that's all you have to do, you know?
Right.
And so like I got Bakes early. So like that was back before Bakes was like having camps and all that other big stuff that he's doing and all the cool stuff.
I didn't know that. I wouldn't have known that looking at you bowling.
Yeah, I'm not his finest student.
I would have known you had the greatest coach in the world watching you bowl.
Yeah, I mean this is a long time ago, so things have deteriorated since. I haven't had a coaching lesson in a while.
You know? I have never had a formal lesson.
No.
I swear to God, it's hard to believe. I know it's hard to believe.
You don't say.
I would always have my buddy Joey Cicente, New York. He would watch me. I say, you know, watch this. Let me know what you think or something. And he bought a video camera like when you had VCRs. You know, you had to put the big thing in there, and he did some videos of me a long time ago, but I never had someone come to me and say, you should be doing this, doing that. I used to watch the pros all the time.
It's my mom. #1 fan.
There you go. Hi, Nick's mom.
She's on vacation right now. She's on the beach.
Where?
Central California.
Oh, okay. Nice. But, you know, I would watch TV on Saturday, and I'd watch the Pros Bowl, and then I'd go to the bowling center. You know, when I was younger, if I wanted to bowl, my dad would go a little bit and bowl a couple of games, and I would try to copy that. You know, the guy I watched the most was George Pappas.
Okay. I wanted to emulate Amleto. That was my favorite bowler, still is all time.
Yeah.
I wanted to emulate his game. So that's where the backswing came from, I think. And
then I'd watch Johnny bowl.
Yeah.
I got a chance to watch Johnny bowl a lot in person because I worked in the summertime in the public school system cleaning the schools. And my dad was an engineer in the city, and we would meet for lunch at Maple Lanes in Brooklyn. And that's where Johnny's from. That was his home center. And he would be there practicing, and we could watch him from the cafe area. Yeah, I'd watch him, and then I'd go try that when I was younger, to copy that. But, I mean, those are different now. Now you can go online and you can get great advice, like spread your feet shoulder width apart. And
you could just Google it right up.
So next in line, I guess, to help you bowl better, what about your equipment?
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, obviously there's a lot of new bowling balls out there, and it can be very overwhelming for a new bowler about what to get.
Right.
What should I get? What should I get after this? I have this and this. What should I have?
Right.
I mean, that's all well and fine, but knowing where each ball fits in your bag, which ball to start with, typically, where to go from there. So, okay, ball A is out of the bag, first one out of the bag. I'm striking with it. Ball starts hooking early, starts, burning up too much.
Right.
What's my next move? Is it moving in with ball A? Is it a ball that I can move in with and chase it? Or am I better off going to ball B? And what is ball B? You got to know this answer. So not just knowing your equipment, but knowing the order of where to use them in order of strength, length, back end, cleanly, response to friction.
Sure.
What's going to be better from straighter? What's going to be better open angle? There's so much to that.
One of the things I find that I struggle with, I want to sell bowling balls. Obviously, that's what we do. But one of the biggest problems I have is people not learning to bowl. They want to just buy it.
Yeah.
And the first move, and it's just astonishing to me that the first move is change balls.
The first time I ever encountered something like that, I bowled the Pro-Am in Cal Bowl in like 1994. It was right after the earthquake, like 2 weeks after the earthquake.
Yeah.
And I was, 13, 14, somewhere in there. And I remember going to bowl this thing, and I got paired up. You get paired with other people. And another one was a junior about my age, maybe a little younger, but he had an 8-ball carrier thing, like a donkey 8-ball thing full of all these brand new bowling balls. And I was just like, whoa,
that's so cool.
That is badass. And sure enough, just kept changing balls throughout the whole thing. I'm going to try this one. Oh, that one's not working. His dad's yelling at him. Try the other one. Try it.
Exactly. How about you learn to bowl?
that was just wild to me. I was like, whoa, you got all these 8 balls. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. There's something wrong with that. Absolutely something wrong with that.
I mean,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
It started a long time ago.
I know it did.
This isn't something new.
I know, but it's just
the resin era.
Terrible. It's terrible.
See what you did?
I mean? When I started bowling, my dad said to me, if you're going to be any good at this, you got to be able to play every board on the lane.
I don't agree.
That's fine.
I showed proof positive in my bowling bingo video, which is up on YouTube.
Yeah.
That I can't play certain parts of lanes very well because certain
nobody said you could be a good bowler then. I mean, really.
No one ever said that in my life. Maybe my mom.
I know they didn't because you're modern. You're a modern bowler. I had to learn to play from 20 to the gutter.
Right. But you only succeeded when you played out by the gutter.
No, it's not true. I was competitive on the inside, and then if my shot was there, I could win.
What I'm just saying is there's bowlers that have made careers of doing one thing really, really well.
No doubt. But the point of the matter is I bowled tournaments every week when I was younger, every weekend, and I had to play different parts of the lane every single time. And I went to houses. I went to houses that played the gutter played. Believe me, I would go there and whack them. But the show I won, the one that we show, I was playing inside. I was 15, 14, whatever it was. But the point of the matter is, the show I lost, I threw it in the gutter on the one board. The point is, you have to learn how to play different parts of the lane. So when you go practice, you need to bring in a ball. That's where I was getting to the equipment side of it. That is the least descriptive ball possible. By that, I mean, it's not a mega drilled asim ball, or it's not a plastic ball either. It's a nondescript ball is what I call it. For me, it's the Intel. I can do whatever I want with that ball. For some people, it could be the sneak attack, the rattler, a ball like that, and learn to play different parts of the lane. This way, you are getting accustomed to looking at different angles.
Right.
And, that's what I'm trying to say. As far as knowing your equipment is fine, but you can't stand on 20, look at 10, and when it doesn't strike, you go in the bag and keep your foot on 20 and keep looking at 10.
I do see that comment quite a bit on YouTube. Is like, hey, I usually stand on 14 and aim at 7. What ball would be good for me? It's like, I have no idea.
Right.
No clue. It's like, hey, if it doesn't work at 14 to 7, guess what? There's a lot more boards and a lot more real estate out there.
And that's where I think you need to look at to be a good bowler, to be really good. You should take that nondescript ball, the one that is your benchmark symmetrical ball, for argument's sake, and play different parts of the lane and learn to make that work.
And that's my point. He likes to say, hey, I had to move my feet. I had to do this and that. I think you're just insecure about it. And when you make these small moves, you got to let everybody know. You got to post on the internet. I played 15 board. I can play 2 board. I can play them all.
When I was on the island, people would tell me I was a lefty that bowled like a righty.
Whatever that means.
That was a good compliment. That means I had to play different parts of the lane because the righties always complained about it.
Right.
I could play all different parts of the lanes. Nice. I bowled a tournament one time, and I was on the A squad in the tournament, and the lefties came in to watch me practice before the tournament started, and I was playing up the gutter because it was a false gutter. That's where I was practicing. When the tournament started, I went to third arrow.
Wow.
They all started on the gutter.
Nah. They didn't watch you long enough.
They didn't watch me long enough, right?
Yeah.
So the point of the matter is that you have to learn to bowl different parts of the lane. They're all usable. You're allowed to do it. But if you go in there and take a different ball with you every time you bowl and say, look, I can make this play from here. You didn't learn anything. Yeah. All you did was learn that that ball hooked more than the other one.
I'm going to post the link one last time. We got about 6.5 minutes until entries close. And then we're going to finish up and talk about some more ideas on how to bowl better. And I'm going to talk something even more advanced that will help you bowl better. And this is kind of like you probably did this too, but trial by fire.
Okay.
Is when you were younger, you're coming up bowling, you started, you got a late start though. You didn't start bowling until college, right?
After college.
Right. Yeah. So, you started bowling this and that, but how long until you actually got into, say, bowling tournaments and bowling with people that you knew were better than you?
Yeah, long time for me. Well, I went from, I averaged 115 in my first league. Now think about that. I'm out of college, and that's what I'm averaging.
That's bad.
Yeah, it was bad. And 4 years later, I bowled a couple of tour stops.
You should have stuck with baseball a little longer.
4 years later, I bowled a couple of tour stops.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, when I was 15, I got dragged to be bowling like all these local youth tournaments where all the kids were pretty much all older than me, much better.
Right.
But that's what I mean by throwing you into the fire is even if you don't think you're ready to compete against better bowlers and bowl scratch, you got to see where you're at.
Yeah.
And then if you got that drive and you got that will to I want to get better. I want to get as good as these guys. I want to beat these guys. That's the way you're going to do it. Like I joined the PBA pretty much essentially right out of juniors, and I didn't join based on just going out there and buying my card and bowling events. I bowled as a guest for 3 events, and then they forced me to get my card.
Yeah, exactly. If you cashed 3 times, you had to join, right?
I cashed twice. It was a rule. Cashed twice. You got to join.
Right.
So I immediately joined, and that's how I learned how to get better. Obviously. I struggled quite a bit,
Right.
I went to tournament early on, and I was finding myself, and finding my game and all that. And it took a while. I didn't have a lot of success.
But you were mentally prepared for that. I'm going to say you were. You know, the worst thing in the world is to go join a tournament that you're getting run over, and then your game gets worse, doesn't get better, because you lose focus on what's going on. You know, I mean, how many more 160s could I shoot? You know,
it's the whole quicksand thing. You get starstruck. You see bowlers that, oh wow,
yeah. So that's where we talk about making every shot count and never throw a practice shot for fun. If you're practicing, I'm not gonna. My next shot's not fun. I'm throwing the next shot like I'm trying to win the U.S. Open. No,
that's how you can get on staff, though. Yeah,
that's how you get on staff. But that's how you have to treat it. Because when you get in a tournament situation like you're mentioning, and you know, you didn't come out of the firing out of the box and win all your events like no, you got killed a few times, you know, and you sit there and go, what went wrong? But it's got to be a learning process.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to learn. And, you know, that's where I was talking about earlier with the equipment. You know, changing balls every shot is not going to make you get better at what you're doing. You got to be able to figure it out with what's in your hand.
Right.
You know, and
the things you learn there is not only equipment, what bowling balls are going to work in certain situations.
Correct.
The types of bowling balls that are going to work in situations, but where to play the lanes.
Right.
And also being aware of what the shot is doing and what others are doing. Because if you're crossing, like figuring out like all the stuff you learn along the way, and you kind of learn based on your environment. Right. But figuring out, okay, hey, this guy's plus 300. This guy's plus 250. They're both playing out by the gutter. And if you find yourself playing fourth arrow, struggling.
You should have learned that about the third frame of the first game.
Right. If you're struggling out of the gate and you see everybody putting up strikes nonstop and you're struggling to get 7.
Yeah.
Figure it. I have something written on my desk. I can't say it totally on the podcast, but it's FITFO. If you can figure it. Exactly.
Yeah. So, you have to be able to see what's going on around you. And that's a problem. You know, getting to become a better bowler is to be in the moment. You can't, you know, it goes fast.
Sure.
I mean, it's fast. Trust me. You know, you're in a tournament and, you know, the scoring pace is 240 and you got a 190 reaction. You're in a bad situation. So that's why I say when you go practice, and I'll say it again, you know, bring in a ball that you and it fits you good, you feel comfortable with it, and then learn to play with that ball different parts of the lane.
Yeah.
You know, there's an angle from every board on that lane that you can strike from. There really is. You just have to execute it. And you guys figure out how to do that. And then you become more comfortable with quickly moving to another part of the lane. You know, you joke about me liking to play the gutter. Okay. I won a lot of tournaments in my life where I didn't play the gutter. When I got the gutter, I better have won.
Name 5 tournaments you've won.
God help me. Anyway, but you have to, when you get the bone, you got to take it. Like last week, the lefties got the bone. They took advantage of it.
Sure.
But if they weren't ready for it, they would have passed them by.
Right. They got it. I mean, they had a tough year until that week.
Think about that mentally for a second.
Beat down.
Beat down, beat down, beat down, beat down. Here it is.
For 4 months.
How are you suddenly ready for that?
Yeah. Because you practice, you know your faculties.
Exactly.
You know you can execute. Once they give you an inch, you take that mile.
You got to take the mile. And the way you learn that is by doing it with one ball at a bowling center and moving all over the place and get comfortable with your release, get comfortable with knowing you can do different things. Now, what makes that better is when they put the better ball in your hand and now you can create a little area with it. Whereas before you didn't have a lot of area with that one ball that you brought into practice with. You know, you want to make it a little more difficult for yourself sometimes when you practice so that you can recognize that I still can be competitive doing it a certain way, you know, and again, you got to be able to repeat. If you can't do it over and over and over again in your sleep, you're not going to get any better. So when you go practice, you don't keep score. You know, you work on one thing at a time until you master it. You said it earlier. You don't practice to get good. You practice so you can't make a bad shot. It's got to be that way. You know, going to a bowling center and practicing a release Doesn't matter where you throw it. It's just a matter of you moving all over the lane and throwing it the same release. You shouldn't suddenly elbow it because you moved inside third arrow.
Right. That's bad form. That's not repeating shots.
It's not repeating shots. Right.
It's obviously inexperience making those adjustments and all of a sudden overcompensating to try to make the next shot.
Exactly right. That's why I say practice with the same ball, move all over the place, create different angles to the pocket. There's a way to strike from every angle. When I used to practice a lot like that, I would start at the one board and I would move every board to the right. And I would stay there until I struck from that board. So I would go play 1, play 2, play 3, play all the way up to 20. And then I would go backwards, 20, 19, 18, all the way back down. And I would practice until I would stay on that line until I struck from there. And that's just a way to build repetition. So you said you had a great tip.
I had a great tip.
You said that.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. I heard you.
When? I just talked about it.
That was it?
That's part of it. But the thing we didn't mention as well, and I think it kind of falls by the wayside when it comes to practice and working on things. And I see it in the league all the time.
Yeah.
A guy goes up there, he gets on the approach, goes through his motions, he does his pre-shot routine.
Pre-shot routine,
That's his feet. That's another thing that we've talked about plenty of times, the pre-shot routine. But gets set, throws a shot, leaves a 10-pin. Okay. No big deal. Next shot, gets up to get ready for his 10-pin, just grabs his ball off the rack, sets his feet halfway, and then just goes. Doesn't spend any time shooting spare. Doesn't flags it.
Yeah.
So practicing spares, especially the most common spares. So obviously, if you're right-handed, you're going to practice 10 pins.
10 pins, right.
You might practice maybe a washout. You might practice double wood, 2-8. You might practice buckets, stuff like that. 3-6-10, baby split, whatever. But getting it down to where you're taking the lane out of play. Because if the lanes are playing a little different, you want a ball in your hand that's not going to hook. It's not going to be crazy. I use urethane. Some people use plastic. Some people use their strike ball.
Right.
But being able to shoot spares with the same mentality that you're shooting your strikes with.
Right. Now, there's some bowling centers you can go in and set up the spares, right?
If they have
the automatic scoring.
Yeah, if they have sync scoring and GSX
machines, set up. I'm only going to shoot the baby split, or I'm only going to shoot the bucket.
Yeah, and they also have a horse function where it'll randomize different spares and stuff like that where you can shoot them. I haven't played it yet, but I want to. But you can set it up on auto if you want to shoot 10 pins nonstop in a row, and you could do that without that. You can just shoot them, try to.
No, exactly. But I like that because you're committed. I'm going to make this 10 times in a row. It might take you 3 hours to do it before you get it 10 times in a row. But you know what you did? You ingrained it in your memory, your muscle memory on what it looks like to make that spare.
Yeah. And Phil Mickelson in golf, he practices, he puts the tee 3 feet from the hole in a circle.
So I know. I saw that.
He puts 8 different ones.
Yeah.
And he goes around the whole circle. And if he messes up, he takes them all out and starts it all over again.
Yeah.
And on a 3 foot, he tries to go 50 or 100.
Yeah.
Until he's done in a row. Because in his mind, that has to be 100% automatic.
Yeah.
If you're 3 feet and in.
Right. You got to make every putt.
You got to make 100% of the putts.
I agree with you. Yeah. And you got to be, bowling is a boring game. It's supposed to be a boring game. Repetition.
If you're elite watching an elite bowler bowl,
it's boring.
It's almost boring because one, they're so good and it looks so effortless,
right?
And they're not struggling because their feet are in the right spot. They got the right ball.
Yeah, their
release is consistent.
Yeah. What I always loved about bowling when I started bowling was it was a little more difficult. I'm not going to say we all know that there were different kinds of chains, but I bowled 36 weeks. We bowled on Tuesday night or Wednesday night and Thursday night, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I would think about bowling like at 4:00 in the afternoon. I got to bowl league tonight, and it was a repetition. I did the same thing every day, every time I bowled, every day, every 3 days a week. It's execution. You want to do the same thing over and over again. You don't want to get out of that rhythm, and the only way you get in that rhythm is by practicing it. And it's repetition. I mean, I would just throw the ball the same way every time. I know it's easy to say, but it is easy to do if you go and practice it.
Sure.
I'm just going to let go of the ball with the, and here's the other thing. The most natural way you let go of the ball is the way you can repeat it.
Sure. Not trying to do too much, not trying to rev it because you're trying to hit the ball and get more revs.
Just let it go.
Try to overthrow it.
Exactly right.
And
then you can repeat that.
That all starts from having a good fit. Like we talked about, the very first thing we talked about.
Exactly right. Exactly
is getting fit and then getting refit because your hand might change. Or you might develop a few issues along the way, kind of learning and figuring out your release, or say, hey, you feel like your grip is handcuffing you into a certain part of the zone. You can't get out of it a certain way.
Right.
Or, hey, I'm hanging up in it. I've made pitch changes and span changes over the years. Minor things, because it's
one of the things you have to do, be careful, is making changes when you're bowling bad. That's a bad time to make changes.
Oh my gosh. I knew so many people that the first thing they did after a bad tournament was change their fit. Like, I need to change this. I need to change that. And then the worst thing that could possibly happen was they had like successful next week. Like the next week was good. Oh, I got it. I make fun of you. I make fun of you.
I know you make fun of me all the time. I know you do.
Yeah. I lengthened my span a 16th of an inch. It feels perfect. That's awesome. It's like, this week, but what's going to happen next week?
Right.
Yeah. I know. Try this, try that.
But it's funny because I have a very sensitive grip. I mean, I can feel a 32nd, which is bad. It's nuts when that happens. Yeah. You know what? And I'll tell a funny story because then we got to do a top 5 and everything. So when we were at Columbia, when Columbia was still here, I had a ball I got. I forget what it was. It was one of the balls. I forget which ball it was, but I drilled it and it fit so perfect. Nothing felt like it ever again.
Oh man,
it was like that, right? I mean, and I could throw this ball on anything. It was unbelievable.
It was just the Da Vinci Code of grip.
It was unreal, right? I mean, it was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And I can never duplicate it.
You can never figure it back out.
So one day, my buddy Don Johns had passed away. He's a pro shop guy. He was a good friend of mine. He goes, man, it's so weird. I measured the ball. They all feel the same. And then his son, who's an engineer, came in and said, you guys.
The ball was small.
The ball was small.
Yes, it was too small. Yep.
Yeah. It wasn't too small. It was small.
Yeah.
And he said to me, and the kid was smart. I mean, he gave me this picture in my head. You think about this. I got a basketball, and I want to measure a 5-inch span on a basketball.
Okay.
Put your hand on it. Now I'm going to give you a baseball and measure a 5-inch span on a baseball. Which feels different in your hand? They're both 5 inches.
Yeah. And it's not that big of a degree when you're talking about a small bowling ball versus a regular size.
Right.
But that's what you feel. It could be that 1/32 or 1/8 difference.
That's exactly right. So you know what this kid did? He built me an Excel spreadsheet
on how to
adjust for the size of the ball. So we bought a micrometer.
The ring thing, yeah.
No, micrometer, right? You put the ball in and you lowered the thing. It told you how big the ball was.
Yeah.
You plug that into the first column.
And it tell you what to drill the span at?
And the pitches. So
that's ultra advanced.
Right? Now listen to this. So then I got tired of having to do that. You know what I used to do then? Is I would get a case of balls from the warehouse and bring them to the lathe and cut them down to that ball size.
Do you think you could feel that Duke could feel 3/8 side? You could feel. I
couldn't feel the weights, but
do you think that in a blind test he can figure that one out?
He said he could
successfully over the course of like 100 balls.
I don't know. He said he could, but I just even now, if I get a ball from the first run of our products, and I drill them, sometimes they don't feel right. And then I'll get another one because they may have changed the setting. After the first 30 ball run, they might have adjusted the setting because the top weights are different.
Oh, they got to get the spec right. Yeah,
spec right, and I might have one to the first batch, and I know right away. It's a 1 and out on that one, and I'll wait and get another one later on and drill it.
Yeah, see, I don't have that issue.
I have that issue. I'm terrible with that.
My issue is my hand goes up and down quite a bit based on weather, what I eat, stuff like that. So like day to day or tournament to tournament, like I would rank like how good my ball felt based on my hand. It could be I could be a 5 or 6. I get the nationals and it's like
sure, but it's funny because nowadays with the thumbs, interchangeables, and everything, people shouldn't have that problem where this ball doesn't feel right or that ball doesn't feel right. They should all feel the same.
They should,
somewhat, right?
But if your hand's variable, then
that's a different story. The hand is variable, right?
That's where I'm at.
I know it.
All right, we ready for top 5?
Top 5.
All right.
And I had to do the top 5 this week because Nick was slacking.
Oh,
top 5 reasons to join a summer league. He wouldn't even do the topic because he has no reason. He told me there was no reason for him to join the summer league.
I couldn't think of a reason.
Couldn't think of any reason for him to join a summer league.
I mean, yeah.
Top 5 reasons.
You realize we're like hunkered down with winter. Like we can't go outside.
I know you are.
So the last place we want to be is inside.
Well, I joined when I lived in New York. I bought summer leagues. When I lived in Cleveland, I bought summer league.
Some are here, some are there.
Summer leagues, some of this, some of that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Top 5 reasons.
Let's go.
Number 5 gives you a reason to buy a new. Oh, I'm misspelling. New radical ball. You join a league, a summer league, and what do?
Didn't you proofread? You didn't proofread.
I didn't. I'm sorry. There might be other mistakes. It's a good time to buy a ball. You feel, why it's a good time to buy a ball? You got your league money.
Yeah, Bowl Expo, taxes, all that stuff coming in.
Everything coming in, and you take a ball, you buy a ball for the summer, and you play with that ball for the whole summer. It'd be a good reason for you to say a new league starting. It's always exciting when a league starts, and there's another free chance for you to start over again in the middle of the year.
Perfect.
Perfect time.
Great idea.
Great idea. Number 4. You can keep working on that release you've been perfecting for the last 36 weeks. The summer is always a good time to work on your game. I laugh when people are saying, well, I'm going to work on something in the summertime. And then 2 weeks in, they're back to doing what they did before because it didn't work for 2 weeks. If you're a strong winter league type bowler and you want to do some changes, sometimes working in the summer, join a singles league in the summer, not like a singles league with pickup.
Like a swingers league? What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? Just join a league where it's a singles team. You by yourself, and you can work on anything you want.
Okay,
it's better than staying home and watching summer reruns of Breaking Bad.
I disagree.
I bet you do.
There's nothing better than watching reruns of Breaking Bad.
Summertime is good to go bowl. You work during the day, you go home, you relax a little bit, you go to league. It's a more relaxed atmosphere, in most cases. I enjoyed bowling summer leagues with the guys. It was fun. It was a little less pressure, and it was over in a hurry. I mean, it only was maybe 12 weeks, 10 weeks. It's not that long. It'd be a lot of fun. May keep you from playing that other game you suck at, Nick. Golf.
Why are you attacking me?
I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying golf. If you a lot of people do that. Oh, I'm not going to bowl this summer because I want to go play some golf. And then 3 weeks in, you threw your clubs in the lake, or you're on your 17th putter because you can't get your grip right. How many? 6th?
Hey, you know what? My golf adventure is another reason of just getting thrown in the fire, because I was an average golfer, and I still am for the most part. But joining like these tournaments where I didn't really have much of a shot, but playing against better players and playing in these pickup leagues, where we play for cash money and we're playing against great players, it makes you better. It absolutely makes you focus and makes you shout. You like I put in the work, but now I got to execute.
Yeah, but you like to do that.
I love it.
But you don't bowl during the winter, the summer.
I love it. Number 1.
It's my favorite one. It saves you from using that same excuse. I haven't touched the ball since May. So
this is another one. This is another one I disagree with, because
you like that excuse, don't you?
No, it's not even an excuse, because during COVID and everything shut down, so we didn't bowl from March until September. We didn't bowl, so we were off for 6 months.
Right.
I came back in my first week. I shot 300. Next week I shot 806.
Maybe you should take 2 weeks off and quit.
I never touched a ball.
Yeah.
Well, I ruined it now. I got to make YouTube videos every week. So
that's true. You can't even say that anymore. Right. If you kept that up, you'd be in a Hall of Fame.
Man, is there a YouTube Hall of Fame? I don't think so.
I think there is. I'm sure we'll make. You know what? I invented that. We'll invent one.
Could I get a meritorious service for YouTube videos?
Not yet. You're not old enough yet.
A different category.
Yeah, different category. We could invent the YouTube Hall of Fame. Let's take a few questions and then we'll do the spin.
You want to do that?
What do you want to do?
I don't know. There was not really a whole lot of questions.
Okay.
There's a lot of chat. There's a lot of chat today, which is cool. Yeah. But I think we're ready to get into a winner because I've already picked him.
You picked the winner already?
I picked the winner already.
All right, ready?
While you were blabbing about, playing different parts of the lane or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna get your timer out. Wow, you're prepared. Is
everybody
else prepared? Is the next question. Is everybody prepared for the winner? I gotta move my mic a little bit. We gotta move this over. All right.
Who is the winner?
I'm not there yet. Are we ready for the winner?
Picked him. I'm ready. I got the clock ready to go.
All right. Hope you're in here. The winner of the wheel spin, you're going to be on the clock in 90 seconds, is Andrew Belleville. Andrew, if you're here, say you're
90
here.
90 seconds. No longer have 90. Now you have 85.
Dun, dun, dun. If you're here, let us know. And if you got a weird YouTube name, I'm probably going to ask what your email is all about. But Andrew, are you in here?
I don't know. Andrew, you're running out of time. I'm looking at some of the questions or comments that we had.
Yep. I haven't seen them yet. What's the timer at? What do we got?
Oh, we got you got exactly 60 seconds.
Andrew Belleville who's currently watching an ad. Someone says he's watching an ad.
Exactly.
Come on. Where are you at?
You see Dave Porter said
someone says it's my name, but it says 8M-I-A-T-A. I don't think that's him.
No.
But hey.
Here we go. We're running out of time.
How much time?
He's got 30 seconds.
Andrew Belleville, are you here? Are you watching?
Not here. Andrew's not here. Somebody better call him. He's done. He is absolutely going to be done in 24 seconds.
All right. This person keeps saying that they are them. Let's see. What? Give me a hint on your email address that you signed up with. If it is you, Andrew.
Because right now, 7.
Give me a hint. You don't have to say your whole email address, but give me an idea of what your email address is.
No more time.
Or confirm me. I'm giving them another second or two to answer my question.
You can do that.
I want to give them the extra spin, So I just want to make sure that's them. Obviously, if they're on YouTube and they have a handle like that doesn't match their name, we got to ask questions. So
it's true.
We're going to figure it out, but we'll get there.
Okay.
But if they don't answer correctly, they're going to get one spin. That's just how it works.
That's how it works here because we're fair. And it's free. All the information is free. And we hope you guys enjoyed this one. This conversation.
That's correct. That is correct. So we'll give you 2 spins. We'll give you the option.
No, well, it's 1 spin, and then he chooses to.
Well, the option for the second spin. Yeah, I know the rules.
All right, you do.
I was there.
Let me see your hands when you do this.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm going to try to get him a 3-ball arsenal. All right. Good luck to you, Andrew. Here we go. Big spin today. Here's my hands, Phil. Not touching anything.
What about the foot pedal?
Come on, 3-ball arsenal.
There it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. Oh,
it's a new ball again.
Every week we're giving away free stuff like that.
Man, that's
look at the values that we're giving away. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely free.
You do realize the next 10 spins are going to be chamois and grip sacks to make up for it.
Is he going to keep it? That's the question. You got the option now.
I think he's keeping it.
You keeping it?
Keeping it. He wants a T-shirt.
I don't know. Maybe he wants to win a 3-ball arsenal really bad.
Oh man,
keeping it? Keeping it? He's taking it. All right. Good choice,
Andrew. Very nice.
Andrew, I'll reach out to you after the show with the email, and we'll get what you want.
And then,
no problem.
Everybody let us know if you like the topics. And again, we look through the list. I go through the list every week. If you feel like you want to have a topic that maybe we hadn't talked about, pop it in there. We'll look at it. We'll talk about it. Maybe that'll be the next topic for next week. But in the meantime, we are out of here.
Yeah, shortly. I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
Great show.
Yep. It was A lot of back and forth from Nick and I, but hope you got something out of it. Makes me want to go practice. Makes Nick want to go hit golf balls.
I haven't touched that yet. I haven't even swung club yet. I got a driver that I bought in November. It's still brand new in plastic.
Don't you have a simulator in your garage?
I do, but it's cold in the winter, even in the garage. So I haven't
seriously.
Yes.
You can't put heat in there, like electric heater or something.
I have electric heater, and it's okay, but it's still cold because
well,
the golf balls are cold, the clubs are cold, and if you miss hit one, you feel it. So
it's April. It's April. Can't be that cold.
Still cold, 40s today.
Oh my God.
All right, next week we might have a special guest.
Maybe we're going to talk to Steve Freshour, see if he's available. We did some studies, and we're going to let Steve come on and talk about it a little bit. But we got to see how the schedule works out. If not, it'll be the week after. But everybody, enjoy your week.
Yep.
Take care.
Go practice.
If your leagues are wrapping up, go practice and join the summer league.
Work on something specific each time you practice and make your shot repeatable.
I'm telling you, that's perfect. I made that practice this week.
You need to.
I do. I know I do.
All right, everybody.
We'll see you. Bye.